This story is titled, A Boyfriend, a Boundary, and a Mother-in-Law Who Won't Let Go. Her name is Lisa, a 28-year-old schoolteacher who lives in a quiet suburb of Ohio. She's the type of woman who's spent her whole life believing in love, the kind of love that makes the world spin a little slower and a little sweeter. She'd found that love, or so she thought, in Jason. Jason was her boyfriend of 3 years, a man who could make her laugh even on her hardest days. He was kind, dependable, and everything she had ever wanted. But there was one problem: his mother, Marilyn. Marilyn wasn't just a mother. She was a force of nature. She had the uncanny ability to make herself at home in every situation, invited or not. At first, Lisa admired it. Marilyn seemed like the type of mother who loved her son fiercely. She baked casseroles, sent thoughtful cards, and called Jason every single morning to check in. It was sweet, at least at first. But sweetness, Lisa realized, could also turn suffocating. It started with the little things. A casual suggestion here, a lingering question there. "Have you two thought about buying a house closer to me?" Marilyn had asked one evening, as she served a dinner that Lisa felt obligated to attend. Lisa forced a polite smile, while Jason shrugged off the question with a simple, "We'll see." Soon the questions became directives. Marilyn wasn't just suggesting anymore. She was insisting. "Jason, don't forget to take Lisa to Dr. Lewis. He's the only one I trust." "Lisa, make sure you're feeding Jason properly. You know he gets low blood sugar." "Oh, and Jason, I hope you'll remember to call your Aunt Susan about the wedding arrangements. You and Lisa will sit at my table, of course." Lisa had let most of it slide at first, telling herself Marilyn was just trying to help. But deep down she felt her life shrinking. She was losing her voice in her own relationship, and Jason didn't seem to notice. One evening, as the couple sat on their couch, Lisa worked up the courage to say something. "Jason," she began cautiously, "do you think your mom's involved in our relationship a bit too much?" Jason laughed, brushing it off. "She just wants what's best for us, babe. That's how she's always been. She means well." Lisa sighed, trying to keep her frustration in check. "I know she means well, but it's hard for me. It feels like she's making decisions for us, and it's starting to wear on me." Jason frowned. "You're overthinking this. She's my mom, Lisa. That's just how she is." His words felt like a wall slamming down between them. Lisa's heart sank. Was she overthinking? Was she overreacting? The turning point came a few weeks later. It was a Sunday afternoon, and Lisa had been looking forward to spending the day with Jason, just the two of them. But as they finished their morning coffee, Jason's phone buzzed. "Hey, Mom," Jason said, answering the call. Lisa could hear Marilyn's voice on the other end, sharp and commanding. "Jason, I need you to come over and help me rearrange the living room. And bring Lisa. She should help too." Lisa watched Jason's expression shift. She could tell he didn't want to go, but he said, "Sure, Mom, we'll be there in an hour." The knot in Lisa's stomach tightened. When Jason hung up, she stared at him, trying to stay calm. "Jason, we had plans today. I was really looking forward to spending time with you." Jason shrugged apologetically. "It won't take long. She just needs some help." Lisa wanted to scream, but instead she followed him to the car. By the time they arrived at Marilyn's house, Lisa felt like a shadow of herself. Marilyn greeted them with her usual energy, but Lisa could sense an edge in her tone. "Lisa, dear, you'll help me move the chairs. Jason, you take the heavier furniture." Lisa bit her tongue and did as she was told. But as the day wore on, Marilyn's subtle jabs began to sting. "You know, Lisa, I've always rearranged my own furniture, but I suppose you're not used to this kind of work." Lisa forced a smile, but inside she felt a mix of humiliation and anger. Jason didn't say a word in her defense. The final straw came months later, on what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of Lisa's life. Jason had proposed, and while Lisa was overjoyed, she also knew it meant Marilyn's involvement would only intensify. The wedding planning was a nightmare. Marilyn insisted on being involved in every detail. She vetoed venues, criticized Lisa's dress choice, and even suggested Jason's ex-girlfriend as a bridesmaid. Lisa couldn't take it anymore. One evening, after yet another tense phone call with Marilyn, she confronted Jason. "I can't do this, Jason," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Your mom is running our lives, and you're letting her. I need you to set boundaries." Jason looked at her, his expression a mix of confusion and frustration. "Why are you making this such a big deal? She's just trying to help." Lisa felt her heart break. "No, Jason, she's trying to control us. And if you can't see that, I don't know how we're supposed to move forward." Jason fell silent, his eyes avoiding hers. That night, Lisa lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she was fighting a battle she could never win. The wedding day came faster than Lisa anticipated, though it didn't feel like her wedding at all. It felt like a carefully orchestrated production by Marilyn, where Lisa was little more than an actor in someone else's play. The venue wasn't the intimate garden setting Lisa had dreamed of. Instead, it was the grand banquet hall Marilyn insisted on, with gold-trimmed tablecloths and towering floral arrangements Lisa had never chosen. Even the menu, featuring Marilyn's favorite dishes, was a point of contention. As Lisa sat in the bridal suite staring at her reflection, she barely recognized herself. The dress she wore wasn't the one she had fallen in love with months ago. Marilyn had convinced Jason that it was too plain and bought a more elaborate gown without consulting Lisa. And Jason? He had agreed, brushing aside Lisa's protests with a casual, "It's just a dress." Her maid of honor, Sarah, entered the room, breaking Lisa's spiral of thoughts. "You okay?" Sarah asked gently. Lisa forced a smile. "I'm fine." But she wasn't fine. The ceremony began, and Marilyn was everywhere. She positioned herself in the front row, barking instructions to the photographer and scolding the florist for forgetting a centerpiece. Lisa tried to focus on Jason, standing at the altar, but every time her gaze drifted, she saw Marilyn. When the vows began, Lisa hesitated. Her heart pounded as she held Jason's hands, her mind racing with doubt. "I do love him," she thought, "but can I handle this for the rest of my life? Can I handle her for the rest of my life?" As if sensing her hesitation, Jason squeezed her hands, a reassuring gesture that brought tears to Lisa's eyes. She said the words, "I do," but they felt hollow. Married life didn't improve. In fact, it became worse. Marilyn's visits became more frequent, her advice more intrusive. She insisted on decorating their new home, bringing over furniture and trinkets that clashed with Lisa's style. When Lisa tried to protest, Marilyn waved her off. "You'll thank me later. Trust me, I know what I'm doing." Jason remained oblivious to Lisa's growing resentment. "She's just excited," he'd say. "Let her have this." But Lisa didn't want Marilyn to have this. She wanted her own life, her own decisions, her own space. And the more Marilyn encroached, the more Lisa felt like she was disappearing. One evening, Lisa came home from work to find Marilyn sitting on their couch. She was flipping through wedding photos, critiquing each one aloud. "This one's terrible," Marilyn said, pointing to a picture of Lisa and Jason sharing their first dance. "The angle is all wrong. Jason, you should have hired the photographer I suggested." Lisa dropped her bag by the door, her frustration boiling over. "Marilyn," she said sharply, "why are you here?" Marilyn looked up, startled. "I was just waiting for Jason. I thought I'd keep myself busy." Lisa clenched her fists, her voice trembling. "This is our home. You can't just show up uninvited." Marilyn's expression hardened. "I'm only trying to help. You should be grateful I care so much." Jason walked in at that moment, sensing the tension. "What's going on?" he asked. Lisa turned to him, her eyes filled with anger and desperation. "What's going on is that your mother has no boundaries, Jason, and you let her walk all over me." Jason looked between the two women, his face pale. "Lisa, calm down. She's just here to help." Lisa laughed bitterly, shaking her head. "Help? This isn't help, Jason. This is control. And if you can't see that, then I don't know how much longer I can do this." At night, Lisa packed a bag and left. She didn't tell Jason where she was going, she just needed space. She drove to Sarah's house, her best friend and confidant, and broke down the moment Sarah opened the door. "I feel like I'm losing myself," Lisa sobbed. "I can't keep living like this." Sarah wrapped her arms around her. "You're not losing yourself, Lisa. You're just stuck in a situation that's breaking you, but you have to decide what's worth fighting for." Lisa spent the night reflecting. She loved Jason, but she couldn't deny that his refusal to set boundaries was destroying their relationship. She thought about their future, about having children, about holidays, about every decision being overshadowed by Marilyn's influence. Was this the life she wanted? The next morning, Lisa returned home to find Jason waiting for her. He looked exhausted, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "Lisa," he said softly, "we need to talk." She sat across from him, bracing herself. "I've been thinking about what you said," Jason began. "About my mom, and you're right." Lisa's eyes widened in surprise. "I've let her control too much," Jason continued. "I thought I was keeping the peace, but I was just making things worse for you. And for us." Lisa felt a glimmer of hope. "What are you saying, Jason?" "I'm saying I need to set boundaries," he said firmly. "For you, for me, for our marriage. It won't be easy, but I'm willing to try. I don't want to lose you, Lisa." The first conversation with Marilyn was tense. Jason explained their need for independence, and Marilyn didn't take it well. She accused Lisa of turning Jason against her, claiming she was only trying to help. But Jason stood his ground. For the first time, Lisa saw him prioritize their relationship, and it filled her with a sense of relief she hadn't felt in years. Marilyn's involvement didn't stop overnight, but progress was made. Jason began setting limits, and Lisa found her voice again. Together, they started rebuilding their relationship on a foundation of respect and mutual support. Lisa realized that love wasn't just about grand gestures or romantic words. It was about choosing each other every day, even when it was hard. And as she and Jason navigated the challenges ahead, Lisa knew they were finally on the right path, a path that belonged to them and no one else. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you of a time you found your voice or fought for your happiness, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.